Hi, son, and welcome to my channel where I help you to stay up to date with the latest crypto and financial news, articles, research, and other stuff that I find interesting. Before we begin, I just want to say that I broke my charger yesterday. Unfortunately, things don't last forever. So the first thing I did was to buy a new charger on the internet, but I felt like I didn't have the time for it. So today I just decided to go to the town and see if I could find one that fits, and actually I did. So that is great news for you and for me, because then we can continue on making videos and you can continue on being staying up to date with what's actually going on in the crypto space, because there's a lot of things going on. So let's just get into today's video. There's an article by Cointelegraph, and it says CK rollups are the end game for scaling crypto blockchains, Polygon MATIC founder. And that is what he said. He got his start in CK's rollups after Vitalik Buterin saw his work on ETH research. Now he's heading up to Polygon's game-changing ZK project MATIC. ZK rollup is the hottest thing in Ethereum right now, having seemingly appeared out of nowhere in late 2018 to fundamentally reshape the ETH2 plan to scale via sharding alone. Zero knowledge or validity proof rollups essentially perform the computations for many thousands of transactions away from Ethereum, and then write tiny cryptographic proof back to the blockchain that verifies those transactions were performed correctly. It's much faster and cheaper than using the base layer and has the potential for virtually unlimited scaling. To an outsider, it looked like the technology went from 0 to 100 in a couple of years, but from the perspective of Polygon MATIC founder Bobbin Threadbare, it doesn't seem fast enough. And quote unquote, he says, your internal perception is that it's moving slowly. He says, people say we're going to be doing this in a year, and it takes longer because people overestimate how quickly it can be done. But if you take a step back out of your own bubble, I do think that the tech is moving at an amazing pace. A lot of the things we're doing now did not exist 10 years ago, or even maybe like 8 years ago. They were just theoretical concepts. And another quote here. So it's not often that you see that something goes from pure theory that is probably not practical, or maybe we can do it in the long-term future, to, okay, we're doing it now, and there are now billions of dollars riding on it. Polygon MATIC at Starkware Sessions. Magazine magazine catches up with Threadbare at the Starkware session in Israel, since Polygon MATIC is a competing ZK rollup solution for Starkware's tech. This is a little like interviewing a CEO of Pepsi at Coca-Cola convention, but it turns out zero knowledge proofs are not as cutthroat as sodas. On the technical side, there's a lot of collaboration. Threadbare explains, if you follow Twitter, you may get an impression that people are at each other's throats all the time, but it's Twitter more than anything. That is very true. He points out that all of the projects are building open source technology or plan to make it open source. We're not building like Web 2 called walled gardens here, he says, adding that various projects don't necessarily perceive other rollups as their technical competition or competitors. We learn from each other more and more and more. And there's a nice photo of the Polygon team and the co-founders. Polygon is the 8th most valuable project. Polygon's MATIC became the 8th most valuable cryptocurrency in the world thanks to its current Ethereum scaling solution. But Polygon's founders knew ZK rollups would potentially render the network obsolete, and spent more and some of their massive war chest on a ZK tech acquisition and hiring spree. Yeah. That is probably a wise move to do. The Polygon's team's approach is essentially to throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Their ZQueen project has just launched on mainnet on beta, and it enables any Ethereum virtual machine compatible to project to scale on its network. Other ZK flavors at Polygon include Zero, recursive scaling, Herms 2.0, an EMB compatible solution focused on decentralization and a proof of efficiency consensus, and Nightfall, optimistic rollups meet zero knowledge cryptography. Yeah. Threadbare, who was working for Facebook at the time, was headhunted to develop his own open source ZK technology into Maiden. This strategy made sense to me. The space is very early, he says. I mean, in all honesty, they don't even require that I use Starks or Snarks or anything. Starks, zero knowledge, scalable, transparent, argument of knowledge. Yeah. Well, anyone would have understood that. And Snarks, distinct, non-interactive argument of knowledge, they also needs one, are the two different types of ZK proof systems. They were very open to whatever technology because nobody had the answer. Hopefully now we have more of an answer that we did like a year or two ago. And there's his Twitter profile, Bobbin Threadbare, and it says there a great overview of Maiden's design from hashtag or like at great. Yeah. So what is Polygon Maiden? Polygon Maiden is essentially the Polygon version of Sharknet. It enables a bunch of transactions to be processed off the main blockchain and then validity proof, demonstrating the transactions are actually computed correctly to be written back as a single transaction on Ethereum. Starks have some advantages over Snarks. It's hard to get over. In that less truth is required for the setup, and they'll get resistant to quantum computer attacks. However, Starks have much larger validity proof sizes, which is more expensive to write back to Ethereum. In another similarity to SnarkNet, which uses the Cairo programming language and virtual machine instead of Solidity at EMV, Maiden uses its own virtual machine. For both projects, this is a gamble, as it makes it more difficult for Ethereum projects to port over to the rollup. On the other hand, it means Polygon Maiden can scale faster and further by enabling it to escape Ethereum's constraints. Within Polygon, we do think that about how we do expand Ethereum, and there are multiple dimensions. Threadbare says, so scaling is one dimension, but also features and other things that are not easy to do on Ethereum, such as privacy and parallel processing, would be another dimension, and this is where Maiden comes in. Magazine later asked Starknet co-founder Eli Ben Sasson for his assessment of his competitor, whom he known since the first Dark War sessions 4 years earlier. I think Maiden is amazing, says Ben Sasson. I have a lot of respect for all of those working within the framework of general validity proofs. Having said that, and with all due respect, I do think that as far as VMs and future Latin compute frameworks go, I think that Cairo is better, and I've said so to Bobbin. Threadbare isn't a cryptographer, he is a hand-on builder, and says the instant he learned about ZK rollups, he knew it would be the answer to blockchain scaling because it removes one technology's greatest inefficiencies, not efficiencies, there you have it, requiring anyone on the network to process each transaction. Once I learned about ZK tech, it became almost obvious that this is going to be the endgame, because in the blockchain, basically, you have the same computation that everybody has to re-execute, and this is so wasteful. When you see this technology where you only have to execute once and everybody can verify your computation exponentially faster, that's almost like an obvious thing that needs to be done. Run smart contracts locally with Polygon MATIC. With Polygon MATIC, anyone will be able to run a smart contract locally and just send the proof to the network, which enables transactions to be run in parallel rather than sequentially. If Polygon MATIC has struck with EMV, that would be very difficult and that limits throughputs. With Ethereum currently processing a dozen or so transactions a second, that's not a problem, but when the TPS ticks over into the thousands, it will be. You need to be able to process transactions in parallel because in a single thread there's only so much you can do, he says. I don't think you can get much more than a few thousand TPS without paralyzing things. Important point there. Being able to execute transactions locally means that you can run arbitrarily complex computation, and it places almost no burden on the network. He explains, putting out that running a 3D physics engine is impossible on Ethereum right now, but it will become possible with Polygon MATIC. The design space opens up, he says. That enables a bunch of new use cases, but it also helps with privacy if I don't have to actually reveal the computation. Like Zkey, Sync Era, and Starknet, the plan is to launch with a centralized power prover and then gradually decentralize. Eventually, two all of Polygon's Zkey solutions will become interoperable, with MATIC remaining the key token. However, native account abstraction means users could pay with other major tokens too. That is interesting. I think there's a bright future for Polygon MATIC and their team, who is working diligently on improving both Polygon and their chain and side chains, and on improving on Ethereum. So yeah, that was the video, and it was great speaking to you again. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And I will see you in the next one. Ha det bra!